Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and we've got a little job to do today. I've got this little guy right here. He's what tightens, or pries the motor back on my drill press so you can tighten the little screw and have good tension on the belts. This little guy here fell off the other day, and he got a little bit chipped out on the side here. And I thought, well, he's getting old and brittle. After all, this thing's been on there since back in the 70s. So why don't I make a steel ball to take the place of it, and it should be a little more durable. This guy is an inch and some thousandths large, and I looked around and I found a piece of metal that's an inch and some thousandths diameter. The thread on it's a 3/8 16. Now, I tried several different things to fit it, and that's what fits the best, so I'm pretty sure that's it, even though the outside diameter there is not exactly a full 3/8. They made it a little small. So I guess what we'll do from here is we're going to go ahead and get on with it and make us a little ball. Now I'm going to show you a little something over here. Alright, so this is the compound off of my lathe. As you can see, it's got a little hole, and it's got a little pin in each side there to hold it down so that you can't lift it up off of there. I think maybe if I hold it like that, you can see the little holes and the little angled pins in there. Well, when I decided to make a ball cutter, I cut this little hole to be the exact same size as that other one. And of course I left room that if I felt like I needed those little pins, I could add them on later. But I'm of the opinion that all the force is going to be down on this cutter, and I'm not ever going to need the pins. So that's what we're going to do. When I built this thing, the first thing I did was I made a ball with it, of course, and it was made out of plastic. And folks said, well, yeah, but what's he going to do if you use metal? Is he going to hang on there if you use metal? You didn't put the little supports. Well, I haven't made a ball since then, but we're going to make one out of steel today, and that should answer the metal question. Alright, so let's proceed. Alright, now the proper name for my little ball cutter is a radius cutter. If I were sophisticated, that's what I'd say, radius cutter. And we're going to take the little bugger here, and he fits really tight on there, and set him down there. Now the way that I know that I've got the right distance is ordinarily to measure, the diameter of what I've got and put the tool up on it. And then I know I need to go in so many thousandths are out. But this guy is right at the diameter I want. He was within a thousandth or two. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole, thread it, and we'll make a ball out of the end. I think that ought to fix us up pretty well right there. So we got a drill bit here that's right size to make the 50% thread. And that's what we're going to do. We need a tighter thread, considering this letter Q drill bit. If I wanted to make the 75% thread, I'd use a 5/16 drill bit. See how deep that is now. Well, it's not very deep, so let's just go ahead and go in just a tiny bit more. I would think I should be able to go about halfway through. Maybe a little over. Alright, it's time for measuring. Put you guys to sleep while I do all the boring stuff. Alright, so I made the hole 5/8 of an inch deep. I figured that ought to be deep enough to hold on. I mean, this thing is just going to have pressure from the palm of your hand pushing onto it to, you know, to hold the little lever over one way or the other. This is a tap from Redneck Supply, so we'll see how good it does. I hope it does really good. Now I need to slow this thing down a little bit and power tap it. I know it'll do it. You guys hang on a second. Yeah. Alright, through the magic of editing, I'll make that look like it was a short time. Alright. That's power tapping pretty good there. Need a little more grunk on it here, as Tom Lipton says. I don't know where he got all those words, but he's got them. Okay. I need a bottom tap, really. Make this just right. I may have to go in there and drill it a little deeper to have enough threads, unless I find a bottom tap, which I don't know if I've got. Well, I guess that's good enough. That's screwed in on that end. I think both ends are pretty much identical. They're pretty much a little bit wobbly too. Yeah, look at that. That'll do the job though. I've got enough threads. Alright, so we'll just turn the little booger around end for end. And we'll go after it. Not sure how much I need to have sticking out. I'm using the 3-jaw chuck so I don't have to do a lot of zeroing in, you know. I haven't tightened the chuck down yet either, so let's see what we got here. That's right about where it's going to be when it finishes, right there. Okay, so we'll tighten her down right there. I'll set a 0 here. And then I'll mark this guy here with something so that I know when I get to that spot. I guess I can wipe some of the grease off and put a black mark there. There we go. We got a black mark. Now I'll know when I get to the right 0. So of course I've got to back it out some so that I can cut the little edges first, right? So let's see what we get. I guess we ought to make it turn the right direction. Look at that wobble. That's not too good. Let me move it in a little further. And a little bit closer to the chuck. I don't know if that's how that's going to work out. And it's too close. That'll work there. And see how wobbly it is now. Well, I guess the wobble might machine out. We don't know. We'll see. Works lined up. Alright. Let's just go ahead and make a start at it. I'm going to fasten the carriage down to the waist so it can't move, and I think we're about a ½ inch in on it. Let's check. I may have to move a little. Oh, there. Well, it's not quite a ½ inch. That should be about right there. It's about the middle. Let's see how long it is really. It's 1 1/10, so yeah, that'll be good. Back her up and get started. Let's see, I could speed it up some. Wonderful to have one of those fancy lathes where you just shift the gears. Alright, I'm going to try to work with you guys watching up real close. Obviously, this is looking a little less round than I had wanted it to. So there's something about cutting the radius that I have messed up on. I've got more of a, I think, an oval than I do a radius, but I think that's as small as I want to go with it. I'm going to get a file which I refer to as a Lipton mill. You know, I saw him build a whole baby bullet with a file. So I'm going to smooth it down some, and I'm going to call that quits. And the next time I want to make a radius, a ball, whatever, we're going to do a little more thinking on it. I need to investigate deeper. That's the ball I cut the last time, and after doing that, I realized what I did wrong here, and I'll show you. Let me move the camera over a little bit. What I was supposed to have done was take the center right here and move this thing out a ½ inch from the center. And I forgot to move this guy at all whatsoever. I was doing all my moving back and forth across with moving the compound back and forth. What a dummy. Oh well. It'll be a nice oval knob. That's the way it'll work. Next time one of you guys yell at me, like maybe Pierre ought to speak up and say something about adjusting this guy here. I forgot. Well, it's not a ball. It's a knob on the end though, and it's shiny. So that'll do for now. I'll get busy and graduate this sucker so that so that I can mark off exactly the sizes I want. I meant to do that when I made it, and I thought, well, I'll get to that later. And apparently later has not come yet. You see the leaves on those okra plants? Well, I had abandoned them, and we had a little freeze about a month ago that killed all the leaves off. But you can see there's brand new leaves growing back on there. And so I left the okra plants there in the ground, thinking we'll see, will this stuff still be alive next spring and we can take off right where we were, or what? Well, we got another big freeze coming here in a day or two, so this is going to be a hard freeze. So those leaves are doomed, and I'm wondering if maybe the plant itself's totally doomed. We'll see. Okay, so I was making a 1-inch ball and I missed it by about 30 thousandths. And the reason I say that is from here to here is a 1.033, and from here to here is 1.023. So after about 1.030, it started to, turn into an oval instead of a ball. So I missed my measurement just a few thousandths. And the way I measured, I've got the center point marked right here on this guy, and right here I've got the tip of the tool bit marked right here, and I measured the distance between those two to be a ½ inch. Obviously I mismeasured it just the tiniest little bit, but unless you're doing precision ball bearings, I think that's probably pretty good. This one's not an oval. This one's a ball. Like I say, there's 10 thousandths difference from this way to this way and here to here, but it's not obvious to the eye. So there we are. That's what I should have done yesterday when I was making it. I should have measured from this mark out to here and set the thing for a ½ inch, and then I wouldn't have got an oval like I got. I think I was set for about 1.5 inches or something like that, the way I measured it. So anyway, there you are. That's the right way to operate it, and I think I've got it marked fairly good. At one time I thought possibly about putting a piece down here with a screw to run the thing back and forth so it'd be even more accurate, and I may still do that one of these days. We'll see. It seems Bubba's got an Uncle Zeke, and Uncle Zeke was having a lot of problems with a headache right there, right there, and it'd gone on for just years and years, and he finally couldn't take it no more, and he's telling Bubba, he said, oh, I can't stand that headache right there, and so Bubba told him, well, Uncle Zeke, get yourself on down to the doctor and get that fixed. So Uncle Zeke finally, he went down to the doctor and then went in to see the doctor, and the doctor examined him, and he says, well, I'll tell you the truth, Zeke, you're not going to like this. He says, the only way I can see to cure you is I'm going to have to castrate you. And Uncle Zeke says, no, he says, I ain't doing none of that. So he went on back home. He fooled around about a month, and he just couldn't stand it anymore. He went back in, got the operation done, and so on his way home, he was thinking, well, he needed to buy some new underwear. And he saw Saul Abramowitz's clothing store over there on the side of the road, and he wheeled in there, and he went in, and he says, hey, Saul, he says, I need some underwear, some of them Fruit of the Loom kind. He says, I need some size 30. Saul says, no, he says, you're not wanting those. He says, you're wanting size 34. Zeke says, no, he says, I've wore 32 all my life, he says, and I've had some change, I need a size 30. And Saul says, no, he says, I have been in the clothing business 40 years, and I'm telling you, if you're wearing anything smaller than a size 34, he says, it'll give you a headache right there. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.